understand that we still producing greatness. That one of the first Black billionaires is Reginald F. Lewis, and the School of Business at Virginia State University, and you got us graduating this rate, or we have students that are doing X, Y, and Z. They're not here to talk about that. They're not here to talk about the dope things that we're having on campus. And I said, I don't like that. I said, let's figure it out. So what I did, so this is fall 13, right before Christmas break. Say, yo, let's put together a spoken word video that will attack and address the media. Because they're depicting us as these thugs. And so let's do that. But let's not do it as just like me saying something. That's not going to have the same impact, right? But let me start it. And let me toss it to.
What's happening, y'all? This is Mike D with Black Fathers Now, where we're bringing the village to the brothers. Every couple of weeks, you can look forward to a quick inspirational message or a thought-provoking guest with knowledge and wisdom, all geared towards helping you be the best father that you can be. We're bringing the village to you. Now it's your turn to do something with what you learned. All right, y'all. Let's go. What's going on, fellas? This is Mike D, Mr. Double Down on You, with another episode of Black Fathers Now. Now, literally, Black Fathers Now is really about celebrating Black male excellence. Brothers who are doing the doggone thing across the board in a various array of industries and all of that. And this brother that I'm rapping with today, when I say brother, like it takes it to another level because he the bruhs too, frat brother. But the brother that I have on today is none other than Jahliel Thurman. Now, he's the CEO of Yard Talk 101. We'll talk a little bit more about that. But if you've ever tuned into the Aspire Network on a Sunday and you saw this show called HBCU 101, well, he's also the host of that, but he's also the executive producer of that. And the brother's a Chicago native. He's a graduate of Virginia State. As I mentioned, he is one of the brothers of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated, but he's doing the doggone thing, currently based out of Atlanta and literally making waves, especially in the world of telling stories and authentic stories surrounding the HBCU experience. So fellas and ladies listening to, because y'all tune in to everything we talk about, let's welcome my man, my frat brother, Jahliel Thurman. What's up, brother?
What's going on? What's going on? Good morning. Good morning. How are you?
Man, I'm solid, my man. I appreciate you, brother, man. I appreciate it. This has been a while in the making, but I'm happy to finally get you on to kind of rap and share your story, your journey, because it's definitely going to be inspiring, man.
Now, I definitely appreciate you for reaching out. I think as my career continues to grow, as I continue to move and matriculate through the industry, I definitely want to tell people the story along the way, just because it provides motivation, it provides a different insight and a different perspective. So I'm excited to be here, man. I'm definitely excited to rap with you. It's always good to be around the brothers, man. It's always good to be around the brothers.
Come on. That's how we groove, man, for sure. And before we jump into your story, man, I like to always start with shout outs, because the reality is it takes a village to raise a child, but every successful grown person also has a village around them, a support network, a community, and I don't even like to use the word network. I like to use community. I was challenged with a brother I interviewed out of Toronto. He goes by the name Dr. Vibe. And he was saying it's not network, it's community. And I was like, what do you mean by that? And he said, with a network, it's basically something you tap into as needed. With a community, there's a level of responsibility there. So when we think about those that are in your community, those that are allowing you or helping you to get to where you are, let's give some shout outs before we jump into your story, brother.
First and foremost, man, the supreme boss, man, I want to thank God.
Yes.
In my journey, it's been a lot of faith. It's been a big faith journey for me. So without God, none of this of what I can talk to you about today would be possible. And I know people say that all the time, and sometimes it comes off cliche, but I recently, which I'm sure we'll dive into like that, my faith and my belief in God has gotten to a different level that I truly understand without him and his efforts, I wouldn't be here. So first and foremost, I wanted to start there. And then my family, man, as an entrepreneur, as someone who left Chicago, went to Virginia, my mom, my dad, my sister, my grandmother, my aunts, everybody has just been supportive. My big cuz, all of them, they've been supportive. And then, of course, the guys, man, Darius and the Day One, Said, Terrence, all of them, the Dream Team. So I got a group of friends we call ourselves the Dream Team because we just motivate each other on a different level. And then Fred, Uche, big bruhs from Musi, been nothing but mentors to me for the last 2 going on 3 years, man. Jelly Ron, Newside bruhs, been nothing but mentors to me for so long. So, you know, when I think of those that I can turn to in my community, those are those that I think about first, because, you know, being able not only to talk to God, but to these individuals that are here, in which I feel like he placed them in my life to get to me where I am now.
Dude, I'm gonna tell you what's so powerful about that is, you know, we think about how does God work in our lives, right? So the movies will say the sky parts and it's this baritone voice. So Jahliel, you must move left, but the reality is, yes, he's capable of that. But the reality is that's not typically how God moves. God moves through people. He moves through circumstances. He moves through, you know, situations. And if we're open and intentional about being open and listening, we can hear the voice of God in that interaction. And it might come in a, you know, in a way that you don't think it should be presented. But the reality is you're like, whoa, I'm getting it now. But you got to be open to it. And so when we put our shout outs and those people who are part of our community out there, we come to realize that that is God working through them to help us get to where we are. It's not them coming. Those people were sent to us. It's an interesting perspective, right?
No, I agree with you. I agree with you wholeheartedly. You know, I've been on a spiritual journey, and my grandmother is a pastor. And so when I started really kind of diving into full-time entrepreneurship and really trying to take that serious, you know, I just said, I just need, you know, it's a couple different opportunities that were starting to present themselves. And I was like, you know, I want to be spiritually in tune. Like I want to be strong and stable from a spiritual standpoint, because there's going to be days that are going to be easy. There's going to be days that are going to be hard. I mean, it's hard but fair. And so with that being said, I just wanted to make sure that I was in tune with God. So that way in those days, like my faith wouldn't weary. And so ever since then, I reached out to my grandmother. And it's just my grandmother. She's been my grandma my whole life. But maybe back in like fall 2019, let's say October, you know, we started like literally talking like once a week, scriptures, you know, and just her teaching me so many different things, from tithing to faith to just responsibility to, you know, understanding how to forgive, just so many different things, man. So when you definitely talk about community, and when you talk about God bringing people to your life and teaching them, like, and mind you, this is my grandmother my whole life. It's not I've had a relationship, but it's like now that I'm an adult and I look at life from a different lens and different perspective, she means something a little bit different to me now. And so when you talk about God putting these people in your life, I thank him for my grandmother all the time, because she's been my ear or my vessel between God and me, you know, and how I'm moving. So yeah.
Dude, man, that's such a deep perspective. And fellas, I want you to really pay attention to what he was saying. His grandmother has been his grandmother his whole life, but it was basically this last year and a half or so in which the relationship has changed, and he started to tap into his grandmother in a different light. And when we think about relationships in our lives, you know, there are some times in which we don't know why this person's here. We don't know why this relationship is this, but we have to also be open to that relationship evolving, right? When I first got married, I had a mentor when I was doing pharmaceutical sales, and this brother sat down with me. He said, Mike, I'm going to give you some advice on marriage. And he said, every so often reintroduce yourself to your wife. I was like, what do you mean by that? He said, every so often reintroduce yourself to your wife. He was just like, so at 30, are you the same brother that you were when you were 20? I was like, no. Well, guess what? You're not going to be that same brother at 40 or that same brother at 50 or that same brother at 60 or 70. And the thing is, she's the same way. She evolves, grows, and changes. And so every so often you have to reintroduce yourself to your wife, and she has to do that to you so that you're in tune with who that person is at this snapshot moment, right? And so as you thought about, when you were talking, I thought about that in relation to your relationship with your grandmother, because, you know, growing up when you were in your teens and early 20s and all of that, she was grandmama that said, boy, you better be in here before the street lights come on. Boy, you better do this. You better check the bottom of your shoes. Make sure you ain't stepping no dog stuff before you come in the house. And, you know, she was that. But as you reintroduce yourself to her as an adult and as an entrepreneur, And as she reintroduced herself to you as now a spiritual advisor, it takes on a different lens, even though that's still grandmama.
Yeah, definitely. I have to wholeheartedly agree with you on that, because that's what happened. I just reached out to her. I was like, hey, listen, I think that the journey that I'm on, the road that I'm on, I'm going to need spiritual guidance, and I don't trust anyone outside of you. So let's do this. And she was, as a pastor, she was like, oh yeah, let's do it. And like, it was not a question. And she takes it serious. Like we talk every week. It's on my calendar. Every once a week. That way it's on my calendar. It's on her calendar. So it doesn't get forgotten. You know how that can happen. Put it on the calendar. Oh, damn, we didn't talk this week. It's Thursday. So nah, we talk right now. It's on the calendar for Mondays, just to get the week started off straight.
Dude, fellas, pay attention. Again, Jahliel's drop. We haven't even gotten into his story yet, but he's dropping gems right there. Even with relationships that are just there and are going to be there regardless, sometimes you even need to add structure to those, right? So they add he and his grandmama got on the calendar. We are talking every Monday. So don't omit that, because sometimes even in our relationships that we think that love is enough and all of that, sometimes we got to throw some structure in there so that we don't allow love to get pushed to the back burner. All right. Good. Whew, dude, you're dropping gems already. I know this is going to be off the chain. So started with shout outs, but now let's jump into your story. You mentioned you're from Chicago and you ended up going to Virginia State, which is not in Illinois. So talk to us a little bit about like your journey growing up and some inspirations, but then ultimately what led you to down the HBCU route one, but then ultimately to Virginia State.
All right. What was that first question? Because I got the last two.
Yeah. So pretty much, you growing up in Chicago. So just talk about, growing up, inspirations, and, just basically some of the things that influenced you growing up as a young man in Chicago. And then what led to, you going to Virginia State and HBCU.
So, man, Chicago is a beautiful city. It's a lot of people. It's a lot of negative stigmas and a negative limelight that Chicago gets. And I'm here to tell you, any city is going to have its downfalls. Right, that's just anywhere. But Chicago is so beautiful, man. Like I tell people all the time, like I would raise my kids at home. I'm like, why? I'm like, man, it's different. It's so diverse. The culture is there. It's so many opportunities. I mean, you got the lake. It just the vibes is different. So growing up in a city, man, it's hard to even put it in words because I miss it so much. I think anybody really misses their childhood. It misses like that 7th, 8th grade high school years where they really build relationships with their friends, doing things they weren't supposed to be doing, but just having a good carefree life. And that's what it was for me. Now in Chicago, I had a group of friends I grew up with, still my friends to this day. None of us are incarcerated. Some of us are dads. Some of us are entrepreneurs doing different things. So that's a beauty in itself, to be able to say that as a Black man in today's society, number one. Number two, I'm very family oriented, man. And so, I'm really close to my mom, my dad, my sister, aunts, uncles, cousins. I think family is everything. Yeah, that's just me personally. And so when you talk about how I even got to an HBCU or Virginia State, it's really interesting. So my parents both had two different perspectives. My mom wanted me, she's mom. Okay. Mom wanted me to stay in state.
Yep, stay close.
Stay close. Pops was a little different. Pops was like, hey, I want you to go. These were his words. I want you to go to an HBCU. My dad didn't go to, neither one of my parents were able to go to college. So my dad actually had a full ride to Mississippi Valley State. However, he decided to be a father instead. My parents were young when they had me. They were 18 and 20. And so Pops was just like, I got a son, I got a responsibility. It is what it is. So he, and even for that, when you talk about Black fathers, I always thank my dad because he didn't have to be. That's something I don't ever take for granted. I mean, at 28, I still tell him thank you, because 28 years ago, he could have decided to do something else with his life. I mean, you're 18 years old, and you could have not been there. Y'all could have had an abortion. There's so many different ways it could have played out. And I always thank him and my mom, just for raising me, giving me life, and giving me a chance in this world. And so for me, any decisions that I make, is to always make them too proud because they had a decision to make and they decided to be here. So when we talk about Black fathers, you know, I always appreciate my dad for always being in my life. You know, our relationship may not necessarily be perfect, right? But we have a good relationship, and I'm happy to call him my father, and I'm proud of the man that he is. And so, you know, when he speaks to me, even now, I always listen. It was always one, you know, your mom, you kind of be like, all right, okay, cool. When Pops would speak, it would be like, all right, what he's saying, because he's thinking so many steps ahead. And so when he's doing that, I'm like, okay. So he said, look, we sat down. I think we were out one day. He was like, look, I want you to go to HBCU. You know, freshman year, you figure it out. Sophomore year, join a fraternity. Maybe junior year, enjoy college. Senior year, really lock in, man, and figure out what you're going to do. And if you wanted to further your education, you can go to a PWI. You can go wherever you want. It won't even matter. He was like, but I want you to get that culture around your, you know, your people, your first 4 years. He said, whatever you do after that, that's on you.
Hold on. Stop. What influenced him to think that way in regards to, because like you mentioned, Chicago is full of culture. You know, you got all different people from different walks of life. What was it about his walk that was like, you need to get culture now, and then you can do whatever you want later?
I think it might have been 2 or 3 things. I think it was the fact that he was supposed to go to Mississippi Valley State, which is an HBCU in Mississippi. I think it's his friends that went to HBCUs and their experience. And I just think it's just his awareness and his know-how of just, you know, go be around, you know, have that experience, you know, and then whatever you want to do after that, you on your own. And so when he said that, I said, okay, boom. Like it was never at that point, my mom telling me to stay in state. I'm like, yeah, it don't matter. Dad said you want me to go to HBCU, so that's what I'm doing. You know, and so it wasn't that. And so Jesse Jackson, shout out to the bros. He had Rainbow Push Coalition Tour, Chicago. It was nonprofit, and it was a college tour. This might have been my sophomore year of high school. This was it sophomore year, maybe junior year, but it wasn't in my senior year for sure. And we paid, it was like $500 or $400 or something like that. He had 2 different tours. It was one that was going to the South and one that was going on the East Coast. Okay. And I wanted to go to Morehouse. So I was like, yo, I'm probably going to Morehouse. So I want to go to the South because I was like, I've never seen the campus. I haven't had an opportunity. I don't know what it's like. I don't know what the vibe is like. So that's the one we went on. So a couple of friends. It was a lot of us. It was a very fun experience. I mean, we traveled to, I think we stopped at Tennessee first. So it was like Tennessee State, Fisk. I know we went to see like Alabama State, Alabama A&M, FAMU, the AUC. I'm sure I'm missing like a couple schools because I feel like it was like one of those that was a little outlier. But yeah, but I do remember seeing those schools specifically. And it was an experience, a dope experience. I mean, I went to Morehouse. This Morris Brown might have still been active, or at least relevant to some extent. You know, I know now they're in that process of getting reaccredited and things like that. But yeah, man, and I just enjoyed the Greeks. I enjoyed just the different vibes that we seen on the tour. And so I was like, cool, I'm gonna go to Morehouse, right? And interested enough how I got to Virginia State was there was a scholarship reception in Chicago. Okay. Siemens scholarship reception or something like that. It was real formal. And it's funny how God works. I'm gonna tell you this. So I got accepted to every HBCU I applied to. Morehouse, Hampton, Howard, FAM, Alabama, whatever school was.
Yeah, you were in there.
I got in there. Some schools offered me partial scholarships. Some schools offered me scholarships. Morehouse actually didn't offer me any money. And so my mom said to me, like, I mean, that's normal. Yeah. Like, she was like, you know, it's normal. You know, people go to school and they have to pay for college. I said, wait a minute, what? So you trying to tell me I got to pay for college? Nah. I just didn't believe in it. I'm like, nah, I don't think that's right. Like, nah. So I went to the Siemens scholarship. I forgot how many HBCUs was there. I think you picked 5 schools you're interested in. Virginia State so happened to be my last school because I had two friends, 2 or 3 friends that went to high school with me.
Mm-hmm.
but went to Virginia State. So that's the only reason why Virginia State was even on my list.
Okay.
Virginia State's the only HBCU to offer me money at that reception. And they offered me a lot of money. And so I called mom, was like, yeah, I'm going to Virginia State. They offered me all this money. We gone. And so after I got the rest of the information and then we doubled back to VSU, they were like, look, we can give you more money if you retest if you retake your ACT, because if you can get just 1 point higher, we can give you the presidential scholarship. Boom. So I took the ACT like 3 times. And because I'm not the greatest test taker. My attention span gets real short at some point. However, what they did was they pulled the best scores to make one composite. And I was able to get the presidential scholarship. And then, through financial aid and stuff, I don't know Sally. I don't know Sally. I never heard of Sally. I don't know who that is. So, through God, I was able to go to college for 4 years. And that's how I ended up at Virginia State. They offered me the most money. I was gone. And the bros was on the yard. And that was the two things for me. Okay, I don't got to pay for school. And I asked my friends, I said, is the Q's on the yard? Yeah, the Q's on the yard. Boom. So
it's a done deal. Dude, can I tell you what was so interesting? Because I'm sitting here smiling as you're talking because, first off, you mentioned the college tour, right? So my wife is a graduate of Tuskegee, but she's from Los Angeles. And one of the things that she, I always used to ask, like, well, how the heck do you get from LA to Tuskegee? And it was one of those college tours where they had something organized through some organization in which they took big bus loads of kids from LA and took them through, like Southern and Grambling and Tuskegee and the AUC. So they did that whole same scenario, which exposed her. And that's how she ended up at Tuskegee. Basically, I think for her, it was either Tuskegee or Clark, and it ended up being Tuskegee or whatnot. And you also mentioned, and this is one that resonated with a lot of brothers who were interested in college or who were college ready, so to speak. I'm from Augusta, Georgia, Morehouse. So I wanted to go to Morehouse literally up until basically my senior year. I applied, got in and all of that stuff, but it was verbatim the exact same situation with you. I didn't get no money. So Morehouse at the time, and I finished high school in 98, Morehouse was like 30 grand a year and they didn't give me no money. So I was like, man, that's a wrap. I'm not going, in a situation like that. And that was the whole thing. But what was interesting about it, what inspired Morehouse was PBS used to have this documentary called The Morehouse Man, where they talked about like their ritual of the freshmen coming in, where it's basically they basically pledging them when you first get to campus at Morehouse. And I saw that, and that whole thing really invigorated me and made me want to go to Morehouse. So that was like the inspiration behind me wanting to go to Morehouse. It didn't happen. I ended up going to Georgia Tech, state school and all of that, and the money and everything, the same kind of situation that you were talking about. But long story short, it was just interesting hearing the parallels there, how you ended up at Virginia State. Yeah,
definitely. And I don't regret it. One of the best decisions that I could have ever made for my life, for my career, for who I am today. Like I give a lot of that to Virginia State.
That's good stuff, man. That's good stuff. And so you wanted to go HBCU. And one of the things you mentioned earlier was, I thought about the concept of the power of a father, right? Yeah. Because you mentioned that when your dad spoke, you listened, and he came with things from the perspective of, there's a reason behind it. And when he said something, you always recognized it. He's thinking steps ahead. So the power of a father. And so fellas listening, don't dismiss the power that you bring to the table by adding your insight into the decision-making process. Because without that, who's to say maybe you would not have gone to an HBCU had he not been insistent upon that being the framework that you start off with?
Yeah, trust me. Whatever he would have said, that's what I was doing. So if he would have said, I want you to stay in state, I probably would have stayed in state. If he said he wanted me to go whatever. And so, yeah, he said it, it was done. It was just like, all right, that's what he said. And that's just how I was raised. Like, because I knew that whatever decisions that he was thinking, whatever, like you said, he was thinking a couple steps ahead. He was thinking bigger picture. And I trusted that. And he's never steered me wrong before. So why would he steer me wrong now?
Ooh, he's never steered me wrong before. Why would he steer me wrong now? And you mentioned back also that, say things might not necessarily always be perfect. But the thing is, and I use this a lot, and it's the concept of perfection is not a requirement for greatness.
Right.
perfection is not a requirement for greatness. And so to that point, we don't have to be perfect to be great. And so that doesn't mean that we can dismiss what somebody says because they're not quote unquote perfect. Because guess what? I ain't perfect. I screwed up yesterday. I'm probably going to screw up today. And I guarantee you before the end of the week, you ask my wife, you're like, yeah, this fool done said something, So it is what it is, but that does not limit the greatness or the potential for greatness.
Yeah.
And so HBCU, you went to Virginia State, you did your thing there, but now, how did all of that lead to Yard Talk 101 and ultimately, the HBCU 101 on the Aspire Network and, your move because you moved to Atlanta too, right? Because I think I saw something about like the move and the step out on faith. Talk to us about that journey, brother.
Man, that journey's crazy. So in college, my sophomore year, I joined the Student Government Association. So at that point, I was vice president. So I was vice president for 2 years, sophomore and junior year. And in my senior year, I ran for SGA president. And so, of course, I was SGA president. And so what happened was, spring 2013, there was a couple individuals who died from an off-campus hazing from an off-campus organization. They had students going through the Appomattox, and the day that they had them going through the Appomattox, the water just scooped them up. And they might have been freshmen or sophomores, and they died. And, that's tough, man. It's tough when, it's a campus organization doing something like that, but then it's tough when it's off campus because it's like, we really couldn't control what was happening. And so, of course, that caused a lot of drastic measures to change. A lot of the morale of the school change. It was crazy, man. Like, we were on a search for these boys, man. And, finding them swept up in the water, like you're in college. And so, parents are sending their students away to school to get an education, not understanding the organization. Some of them, first time, or some of them, they don't understand all the, social orgs or Greek orgs or whatever. It's just that campus environment. And so going into the fall, we already started the year off crazy. Going into the fall, now I'm SGA president. So
on the heels of that,
like coming off of that, like, okay, cool. You like, all right, it can't get no worse than that. Nah, it did. Like, I don't know what was going on, man. It might have been something in the water, the food, but like we had a brawl on campus. During homecoming, we had a stab on campus. It was crazy, man. The football team ended up getting into a brawl with Winston-Salem at the CIAA championship before the day before the game. Like, it was the night banquet. Like, it was crazy, man. Stephen A. Smith blasted us on ESPN, calling us hooligans and thugs.
Because he's a Winston-Salem grad, ain't he?
He went to Winston. So and
home team.
And, and that, all of that really hurt, right? Because we're kids, man.
Yeah.
We make mistakes. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're not young kids, but we young adults. But
that's right.
To some people, man, y'all still kids, man. Y'all just good kids make bad decisions, right?
Yeah, good kids, bad decisions.
And the media, though, lived on campus. Like, put their camper packs. Was anytime something happened, it was like they were on the scene. Hey, I am here, and it was like it got so depressing as SGA president. It's like, I've been in Virginia State for these going on 4 years now. We ain't never had this happen, and now I'm SGA president. And y'all want to act a fool?
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, what's up? And parents was taking their kids out of Virginia State. The morale on campus was wild low. It was crazy. Said, man, we got to do something, man. I was like, because, we're student leaders, man. And this is our campus. This is our yard. And the media is not going to control the narrative of our institution. Like they can come here and say what they want. Like, they've been to the family barbecues. But they don't understand that we still producing greatness, that one of the first Black billionaires is Reginald F. Lewis, and the School of Business at Virginia State University. And you got us graduating this rate, or, we have students that are doing X, Y, and Z. they're not here to talk about that. They're not here to talk about the dope things that we're having on campus. And I said, I don't like that. I said, let's figure it out. So what I did, so this is fall 13, right before Christmas break. Say, yo, let's put together a spoken word video that will attack and address the media. Because they're depicting us as these thugs. And so let's do that. But let's not do it as just like me saying something. That's not going to have the same impact, right? But let me start it. And let me toss it to spoken word people and let's put it into a video. So we had like a video team of people on campus that would do stuff. And I reached out to them. I said, this is what I want to do. They said, all right, we support it. Cool. Who you want? I said, these are the 3 individuals I want to utilize. They do spoken word. One of them now so happens to be one of my neos. He shout out to Kondawani Fidel. He's doing his thing in Baltimore, man. He's like the voice of Baltimore right now. If you look him up, you'll see he's crazy with it. But you know, I was like, yo, let's rap. And so we put together something. And Connie said something that still resonates to me to this day. He was just like, yo, y'all call us thugs. He's like, tough. Yeah, we are thugs. Tough, heaven sent, underprivileged gladiators. And I was just like, dang, like, so to this day.
Whoa, pause. Whoa. Right. Hold on. Bar. Tough, heaven sent, underprivileged gladiators.
Like I still to this day feel that every time I say it, like, wow, like, and so that spoken word piece might have been 2 minutes maybe, but it had the impact that I wanted it to have. The student body ate it up. You know, we got support, right? Like I asked students to come out for the video. They were there in Virginia State gear. We was in the bottom of Foster Hall. So there's a student union. It was dark. It was like the vision that I had for it. I'm like, yo, let's make it dark. Let's shine light on those there's in a third. Like everybody has serious straight faces on. Like, yo, we mean business. And it came out really, really, really well, man. And the students loved it. Parents loved it. The alumni, Trojan Nation ate it up. And at that point, you know, I was able to help change the narrative and switch the morale right before Christmas. So that when we come back in the spring, man, we come back with a different energy. I ended up doing an interview about the video over winter break. And so when I came back, it was my senior year, second semester. I'm trying to graduate. This is spring 14 now. And I'm like, yo, I got a group of my friends together and they were all mass comm majors and they all had different things. And I was like, yo, this is it. Like, this is what we can do, you know, because when you're a mass comm major, when especially, first of all, when you're in college, you're trying to figure out what you're going to do after college.
Yes,
right?
absolutely.
But when you're a mass communications major, it's really different because you're like, yo, I want to go public relations. Do I want to go radio? Do I want to go TV? Cool. Then you figure out, okay, which way you want to go. Then it's like, well, what realm of those do I want to be? Do I want to be a producer? Do I want to be an editor? Do I want to be a videographer? Do I want to be a host? And so you're trying to figure out which lane and then how to actually be effective and how to use your degree. Like I went to school for this and this is what I'm doing. And so a lot of times as mass comm majors, mass communications major, you know, that's like trying to go to the league, man. It depends on what career field, where you want to be in a career. It's not always easy. And I was like, man, I got to create my own lane. I was like, you know, I want to be on TV. That's always been it for me, TV. And I was like, you know, but man, you know what I got to do, create a new TV show. What I got, like, I was like, I came from a space of a thought process that, man, it ain't going to be easy. But if I create my own lane, if I create my own space, then I could probably, you know, scale that, manage that, and use as an opportunity to get me somewhere. And so I was like, yo, so at first it was called HBCU Gladiators. That was a TV show. That was a whole concept. And it's so crazy how life works full circle. So the show was called HBCU Gladiators. I had this whole segment, worked with the team. Everybody was like, look, John, we trying to graduate. Like straight up like that. Like, hey, bro, you know, like we feel you, but it's, hey,
we trying to get going. Yeah.
It's the second semester. We graduating. Some of us, I think 2 of them went to Syracuse for like their masters and stuff like that. And they doing stuff in LA. They doing some dope stuff. And it was just like one of those things when I realized that your vision, your dream, everybody won't see.
Ooh, whoa, that's a pause. Hold on. That's a bar, fellas. Your vision and your dream, everyone won't see. You know why? Because they don't have your eyes. You have to stop and you think about it. If it's downloaded in you, like if that thing gets downloaded in you, it's downloaded in you and it's coming out through your mouth, through your spirit, through your actions, but it's seen through your eyes. And so we cannot get frustrated when others don't always see that. That's that. I'm not going to lie. At times I get frustrated with that because I'm like, do y'all not see this thing that's being created? And sometimes you have to take a step back and realize they're not supposed to see it because this is coming out through you.
Yeah. And so like, I didn't get upset, you know, I just was like, all right, I get it. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, man, so I'm trying to graduate myself, but for me, it was like, man, I'm not going to grad school. Like I knew that, like, I was like, man, I'm not going to grad school. So let me figure, because you know why I wasn't going to grad school? Because it cost
that money.
I was like, so, you know, fast forward a year later, I'm talking to my pro fight, one of my best friends. So earlier I was talking about the dream team. So shout out to Chris. He's part of the dream team. And we were talking and Chris was like, dawg, listen, if you're going to do this, then okay, you keep talking about it. But if you're not going to do it, man, yo, shut up, bro. Like, I don't want to keep hearing about an idea that you're not going to do. He's like, yo, you've been talking about this for like a month or two now. Like, what's up? I said, all right, well, I want to keep talking about it, so let me do it. So February 8th, founded my company, 2015, so almost 6 years ago. And ever since then, we've been rolling, man. And I was like, you know, at first, when I was looking at HBCU Gladiators, that's what I was trying to think. But I was like, yo, I can't do HBCU Gladiators right now. That's a lot to digest. That's a 30-minute show. I can't give people that off break. I need to do something that's short and simple. And one of the segments that was in HBCU Gladiator was called Yard Talk. Like, yo, that's like an open discussion. We on the yard, we rapping, whatever. So I created Yard Talk 101. And ever since then, we've been traveling to campuses, you know, kind of like that hits on the street vibe. At HBCUs, that was my whole thought process. Like, I liked how he used to just go up to people, talk to them. And I was like, yo, I'm going to take that same vibe. And, you know, I created the company as a source to, as a digital series myself. It was like my reel. That was my opportunity to show that I can interview people. I can interview celebrities. This is my reel. It's got me a plethora of opportunities. And over time, I realized that, yo, this has an impact on high school students. This has an impact on these students and prospective college students and HBCUs. And so over the years, we switched from being a digital series to a marketing agency that then bridges the gap between prospective college students at HBCUs and major corporations, because now we're in the space where there's these major corporations trying to figure out how to connect with HBCUs. And so over the course of 6 years, my company has developed and understood those different things. And I just currently am going through a rebrand, new logo, new color scheme, new website, because I have a different vision now than I had 6 years ago. And so we're going through something crazy. Now, when you talk about Aspire TV, when you talk about those, I'm big on, so shout out to Ty Johnson, man, and Derek Weber and the shout outs, I forgot, but I'm big on building relationships.
Yes.
Like, one thing about me, man, I care about building a relationship more than what you can do for me.
Yes, 100%.
I feel like relationships, friendship, that was another reason why I joined the frat. Friendship is essential to my soul. Like, that's how I feel. And me so that's why the frat always spoke out to me, because that was important for me. Not because I didn't grow up with brothers. Like, I have younger sisters. It was like to have brothers and to have, like, that was important to me. And so I had a conversation with Ty one day. So I built a relationship with Derek. Derek and I, still one of my mentors, big bros to this day. Ty, you know, he knew Ty. He was like, hey, you know, Aspire TV, let's make the connection. Cool. Ty reaches out to me, and I'll never forget, I was telling him my story a little bit. And I'm like, yo, you know, I went to Virginia State. He's like, yo, you're not New Psi. And I said, what? And he's like, you're not New Psi. Now, at this point, and bruh, you go from business to bruh in a split second.
We know the deal.
What you mean I'm not New Psi? He was like, I mean, you're not New Psi. I said, are you New Psi? Because I'm New Psi. You check my brains. You check. Like, I went straight bruh.
Yeah, you went bruh on him.
Like, yo, like, dog, this ain't what you want, right? So he's like, nah, I love New Psi. Like, I'm not New Psi. He explained to bruhs. I said, oh, man, that whole conversation, our relationship from then has changed. We've been building. And so I got different digital opportunities. And one thing I always tell people, it takes money to make money.
Yes.
And you have to be willing to invest in yourself, or others will be willing to invest in you.
Ooh, say that again. Say that again.
So you got to be willing to invest in yourself before others are willing to invest in you, whether that's time, whether that's money, whether that's energy. I'm not going to give you time, money, and energy until I see you putting time, money, and energy into yourself. That's just the reality of it, right?
That's real.
Because why would I want to help you or give to you, and I don't even see you putting in the work for yourself? Right? So these opportunities that I got with Aspire TV weren't paying. That's the reality, right? But they were like, yo, we looking for digital this, and the third. So I spent my own money to create content for them. It cost me time and money. But I said, you know what? This is an investment. This is an investment. This is a seed into something that's gonna mean something one day. And so, all right. So that's that. Hold that. So 2018, I want to say All-Star Weekend 2018. It was in LA. Me and the Dream Team decided to go to LA for All-Star. Cool. I bump into someone by the name of Fred Witt. Fred Witt is 04 Musa, Terrence J's line brother, manager, good bros. I said to myself in 2018 and 17, hey, I don't want to connect with TJ. I don't want to build. I idolize Terrence J. That is my idol. Hands down. You know, him, Steve Harvey, Ricky Smiley, like the bros. Like I idolize these people. I said, however, Fred is who I need to get to.
Yes.
And it's so crazy how life works, man. We in LA, we go to a day party, wasted. We not driving, but we in LA. So we can just walk, right? We in Hollywood.
Okay. So
we walk to a Jack in the Box. My line brother Dre, shout out to Dre, tries to talk to Fred's girl in the parking lot. Fred hops out this sprinter. But we got a problem. So my little brother like, yo, what's good? Because Fred's smaller than my LB. My LB played football. So I'm like, what's good? Like, whatever. This is nothing, man. This ain't what you want, but whatever. And so I look up and I'm like, yo, hold on. I said, hey, yo, you Fred? He like, yeah, I'm Fred. What's up? I said, you the bros, right? Musa, right? Yeah, I'm Musa 05. I said, yo, we Musa 12, 11. What's good? Like, da-da-da. And then I went from an intoxicated bruh to so much sober judgment. It's crazy. Like, I went from all of that to, hey, listen, look, my name's Jahliel. I got a company called Yard Talk. I see you training for the marathon, for the Chicago Marathon. I'm training for it. I'm doing this. Like, I'm spitting whatever I got.
That's right.
I don't know when I'm going to see this dude again.
That's right. That's right. Shoot your shot.
He's like, all right, look, let's connect. Yo, what's your number? Cool. His phone was acting up. So I said, hey, forget that. What's your number? So he gave me his number. I text him. Cool. Little did we know we would see him the next day. So TJ was shooting Safe Word 2. Okay. I got a friend named Leonard Alps that's a comedian that went to Virginia State. And seen we were in LA, and he said, hey, come to the set. I'm going to introduce you to Terrence and da-da-da-da. So the first person we see when we get to set is Fred. He's like, who are these guys? Why are they here? I seen them last night in a parking lot. Now they here on the set. Who are these people? And ever since then, I've been building with Fred, his line brother, Uche. So I went to the same high school as me in Chicago. So those two, ever since then, because I was on Fred back. Like, yo, I got this idea. I got this. I got that. Like, just something got to stick.
Yeah, something.
Something. And one thing stuck to him. He brought Uche on the phone. Me and Uche was building. And then at that point, I was like, yo, it's not even about building with Fred no more. Me and him going to build organically.
That's right.
But Fred got too much going on. It's easier for me to build with Uche. So me and Uche was building. He had a little bit more time on his hands. And over the years, now we build together. And so I was going through depression back in 2019 because some things with the network didn't pan out how I wanted them to. And I was living in Richmond, Virginia. And I was just like, yo, this ain't my life. This ain't what I want. I'm like, I went to school for this and I'm working retail and I'm working all these jobs and yard talk is doing okay, but it's not where I want it to be. But I got dreams, man. I got goals.
Mm-hmm.
So I talked to Uche. So I was in DC. I'll never forget. I was at his house. We had like a little whiteboard, and we was kind of like mapping out some things. And Uche was like, "Look, you gotta get to Richmond. I'm just how I feel, but hey, that ain't my space."
Mm-hmm.
That's one thing he would always say, like, "Man, the industry ain't my space, it ain't my thing. But look, you gotta get up out of there." So I said, "Cool." So he said, "Yo, call Fred." So I called Fred. I'm rapping with Fred. I'm like, "Man, big bro, like, look, this is how I'm feeling. This is where I'm at." He said, "Well, look, you need to go to DC, New York, LA, or Atlanta." He said, "That's my advice." He said, "However, LA is a different beast. I ain't saying it can't be done."
But
he said, "But LA is a different beast." He said, "New York is a different. He said, DC, all right. But I think you should
ATL.
He said, "I know people in Atlanta. You could probably transfer jobs." He said, "If you can't crash with the bros, then you must not have been good in undergrad." Like, these are the conversations we had.
That's right.
I said, "You know what? I'm with them on New York and LA. I ain't worried about it. We'll get there when we get there." I said, "DC is too close to Richmond." I was like, there won't be any growth for me. Because
that's right.
It'll still be too familiar. I'll still be around people that I'm only 2 hours from familiarity, from what's comfortable. I said, "Nah, we're gonna move to the A." So that post that you talked about, so meaningful. And I get emotional about it even to this day. I mean, it just happened, in December. So a lot of people don't know I quit my job and was like, "I'm gonna figure it out." Like, it was like Fred said in January, move to Atlanta. My lease was up end of April, early May. I said, "Okay, well, I need to get out of any debt that I'm in. I need to start stacking some bread. I need to figure this out." And that's what I did. I didn't renew my lease. I tried to actually transfer jobs, but my district manager was giving me issues. She wasn't trying to transfer me and keep my pay the same. There was a lot going on. So you know how like people be like, they quit their job, they kind of be forced out. I kind of was like, "Man, y'all not about to. If y'all don't want to pay me this, then I'm good." And I just never went back to work. I quit my job, and people was like, "Well, where you gonna stay?" I don't know. Which you mean you don't know? I'm like, "Look, I'd rather have time than money." Because in my mind, you're either gonna have time
or money.
Or you gotta have money. You're not gonna have both initially. At some point, your goal is to have both.
But initially, you gotta choose.
And I was like, you know what? I've had money, and I hadn't had time. I want time right now, because I think that if I can utilize my time, I can get busy and the money will come.
100%.
And so I moved to Atlanta, quit my job, stayed with friends, slept in my car, showered at the gym. I had 2 storage units, which we put a video together now, but 2 storage units, one in Richmond that had all my furniture, one in Atlanta that got all my clothes. I utilized it as a walk-in closet. Like, and I had a pillow and a comforter in my car. So whenever I needed to sleep in my car, I had a pillow and a cover, like it was what it was. I had a gym membership to LA Fitness. So if I needed to take a shower, I get up in the morning, work out, take a shower, get my day started. I had an iron. Like anything, I was like, "Look, man,
you good, you got it."
I pledged before. You know what I'm saying? Like, this
pressed in the corner.
Hey, so whether it's in my car, whether it's at a friend's place, because my whole thing was I made this decision.
That's right.
Anybody that knows me know, that was a decision I made for me. So I'm not gonna lean on you to help get me through a decision that I made for myself.
Woo! Whoa! That's, fellas, Jim. I'm not going to rely on you to get me through a decision that I made. What you're talking about is responsibility. Yeah. And see, and that's kind of the crux of a lot of issues, in a sense that we make decisions and then we expect someone else to pull us out of those decisions. Yeah. If we start from that level of responsibility, meaning if I get myself in it, I look at it as if it's my responsibility to get myself out. But on the flip side, Toby Nwigwe has a line or a little excerpt from one of his tracks, and he says it's amazing how many people get out to help you push your car when they see you pushing your own car, right? Hey. And so to that point, it kind of made me think about what you're saying there.
Nah, that's valid, right? But I ain't called for help moving out here. I have parents that make good money, but I am a man first. And if I call you, I gotta be down because I don't call home. I don't scream wolf. That ain't me. You know what I'm saying? So when I call you, you know, okay,
it's legit.
It's legit. Like he didn't went through every resource he got before he got to me, because that's how my dad raised me. He raised me to, if I wanted a new pair of J's, if I wanted something from him to pay for it, he would ask me things, and now psychologically I go through that, right? Like he would be like, well, you know, your room clean, yeah, cool. Bathroom clean, yeah. Kitchen clean, cool. Gutters, man, bro, come on, ain't nobody get the gutters, man. Is your mama car clean? Like it was so many different things. It was like, yo, I need all of these checks and balances to be in order before you come to me. And so it forced me to stop asking him, because I'm like, bro, that's too much. So I always wanted to figure out a way. So when I came to Atlanta, people were worried. Like my friends would legit tell you, like, where they would ask me, yo, John, where you stayed last night, man? You know, I lied. Man, I was at this one shorty crib. Well, I stayed in my friend's joint. I was in my car because I just didn't want, like I said, it's a decision I made.
I didn't want your pity.
I didn't want your pity. I didn't want you to worry. Look, I'm good. Don't worry about me. Just be who you be, and I'm gonna be who I am. And eventually this story gonna be something for somebody.
Yes.
And so when I got to Atlanta, I had Ty from Aspire, and I'm like, yo, Ty, just so you know, I'm in Atlanta now. Any opportunities, if it's an ambassador for the network, whatever it is, I'm here. Ty hit me like, look, I might have a show for you. Got an opportunity, HBCU game day. So shout out to Tali and HBCU game day, man, because they presented something to do something for sports, but then the network wanted to repeat, and Tali was like, nah, let's do some lifestyle. So Ty was like, oh, lifestyle, HBCUs. Oh, I got the perfect person that could collab. Boom. So Ty brought us together. And this was a lesson for me too, right? Because when you used to being that guy, when you used to being the host, when you used to being like that person that put it together, and you get added on, you have to take a step back and realize, man, it's not mine. Like I'm just a talent here. I'm just adding value. And so I'll never forget, because Tali was like, look, you know, how do you feel about being a part of a show that's not yours? Like he straight up asked me. Like, and I'm just like, I mean, man, listen, you know, if I'm hosting, if I'm an opportunity, you know, I'm all in. You know, like it don't have to be mine. In my heart, in my mind, I was like, yo,
that's right.
This is what I've been doing for years. Why wouldn't it be mine, right? And so I said, but my mouth was like, nah, let's just rock. And I had to tell myself, like, yo, Jah, like, you don't know what opportunities come out here, so just humble yourself.
Yes, that's a word I was about to drop.
I know you feel like you've been putting in the work, but just let God work, bro. And so I'll never forget, we filmed the first episode. So I wasn't supposed to be the host of HBCU 101. First of all, Tyler was like, yo, we need a name. And I'm like, yo, why don't we call it HBCU 101? I got Yard Talk 101. Y'all got HBCU Game Day. We putting it together. Boom. We like the name. We sold. I was like, then it keeps it generic. Like, get people to 101 on HBCUs in so many different levels, like da. Cool. I'm in DC. I got a call. So I mind you, I was supposed to co-host with someone. It wasn't even my show. I was going to just be a toss every now and then. Like, that's right. This is what it was. It was like, hey, we're going to give you opportunity because they say give you opportunity, but we don't really know you like that. So we're going to. That's right. So I get a call. I'm in DC. And Charlie's like, hey, look, you know, the young lady that we had, she can't co-host because of potential conflict of interest with another entity that she works for. Yo, we're going with you. Woo. Okay. Cool. Now, when we first started out with the show, it was a distribution deal, so there was no money being made. I didn't care because what I tell you in the beginning, you're going to get time or you're going to get money. And right now I got time to make something happen for me that'll eventually bring money.
Lead to the money.
Got to get there. So we filmed the show, whole season. So first episode, I was just trying to fill it out. We in there. The dude we were supposed to interview didn't show up. Or we had to improvise. So what we ended up doing was just telling people like, yo, who we were, what HBCU 101 was going to be about. We brought us into, and Tali is a genius. And so we put it together. So then I'm like, yo, Tali, I could get crazy with this show now. I was like, I have friends, I have people that can be guests on the show, and we can. And he was like, look, I'm gonna be honest with you. the more you do, the better it is for me. He said, because I got to produce and edit 2 shows. Done. So then I called Uche. Uche, yo, it's like my show. Like, it ain't my show yet, but
it's like my show.
Uche said, hey, let's get Fred on the show. Boom. We get Fred on the show. Fred sees himself. He sees the vision. I'm like, yo, what if y'all why don't y'all be executive producers with me? Fred and Uche say, you know what? Let's do it. And so over the course, I was bringing in guests. The show was getting better. They would give critiques. Lighting was off. Audio was off. We was piecing it together.
Yeah.
But by November, we was good. So Fred had hit Keisha Knight Pulliam. So shout out to Keisha, man. He was like, yo, Keisha said she'll do the show. Boom. So we got Rudy from the Cosby Show. We got Thurman in the building. So that's when we were like, okay. Keisha's episode was excellent. He said, look, I got somebody else, man. He went to FAMU. He so happened to be an Alpha, but he's really good friends of mine. I said, all right, what's up? He said, look, what day can we get Will Packer on the show? I said, yo, whatever day Will need, we'll make it happen. So Will came by far one of the most down-to-earth people you ever meet, man. Will is such a good dude, but we did it, and it was dope. And that was like the last episodes of the season, and we were like, yo, we really got something. So that was fall 2020. We come back. Aspire wants to bring us back. Now, we were debating on, do we want to take another distribution deal? We want to do a free one. I said, look, first season we was playing catch up. Second season, let's get in there, right? And let's do our thing. And so they was like, all right, bet, cool. We get in there, we body it. We had DJ Envy, we had Steve Pamman, we had Pretty V, Darren Brand, we had Cortez Bryant, Jamila Mustafa. Like, we just had a dope lineup, man. Jaron Brand, Coriel. Jaron Small, Coriel. Like, we just had so many different people. And we came back to the network and we said, hey, what y'all want to do? They came back. They gave us a deal, a licensing deal, that for me, it was enough for me to put a roof over my head. So mind you, I've been doing all of this, staying with friends, grinding, just trying to piece this thing together. So that post that you're talking about on my Instagram was like, man, like, y'all don't understand. Like, I gave up everything I had for this. Like, I've been living off credit. Like, whatever it needed to make happen, it may happen. So when you bring it full circle, you're like, yo, wow. So now we're doing HBCU 101. And remember, I said I had a show I did called HBCU Gladiators. So everything that I have HBCU Gladiators, I have now slowly but surely integrated it into HBCU 101. Wow. So we got Did You Know section. We got a health fact section. We got news. We got interviews. We got spotlights. But these are things that I actually had back in 2015, 14. I created HBCU Gladiators, and I took that full circle and brought it back to life. And now that's what we're doing. So now I'm getting paid to do something I love to do. Other opportunities are coming along the way. Boy, it took faith. That's why when I started this, I said, if it wasn't for God, if it wasn't, because I was in some dark spaces. I mean, I go to therapy. That's a whole nother subject for a whole nother day.
That's real, though.
But I go to therapy. I had a spiritual advisor. I have friends and family. I had this community of support. But I also took that responsibility on myself and said, hey, if I want this, and I always have a quote, 2 quotes that I live by. One is by Winston Churchill. He says, success is failure after failure without the loss of enthusiasm. So and I look at it like this: in any space in life, we're gonna fail, right? No matter where you at, you're gonna fail. You're not gonna get the grades you want. You're not gonna have time in school. You're not gonna be late to a meeting. You go whatever it is. But if you just keep going, if you keep going at it, you stay 10 toes down. Eventually, it's gonna happen.
Absolutely.
Then the other one is chase your dreams or watch someone else live them. And that's something I came up with because I feel like we have these dreams that other people live, and we're not, chasing them. So that's my story. That's been my journey. That's what I've been got going on.
Bruh, when you said chase your dreams or watch someone else live them, like that thing literally hits me in my core. But then the whole premise of in the midst of you doing your thing, you know, again, I think in associations, right? Like that's kind of how I connect the dots. That's how I make sense of stories and things. Okay. And when you were talking about the notion of you actually going through and producing this show and doing your thing, but yet you were doing so and you didn't have a place to live. So it was in spite of that, you were able to bring excellence to the table. You were bringing excellence to the table initially as an audition. You weren't even getting paid, and you were doing so not having a place of your own. What the association that comes back to me, what I think of is Chadwick Boseman, right? Okay. Meaning the brother produced and came through and brought his A game in a myriad of films and public speaking. And he spoke at Howard's graduation a few years ago. He was doing all of this while dealing with a stage 4 cancer diagnosis. Yeah. So in the midst of dealing with challenges, circumstances, issues, he still had the courage to step up and perform. And when I hear your story, that's what comes to mind for me. Again, it's not a health issue, but it was a scenario in which you were like, in spite of these challenges, circumstances, issues, I'm coming to the table and I'm bringing my A game. So brothers, when you hear Jahliel tell his testimony, talk about his story, and I love to have brothers who are in the middle of the journey, right? So it's cool to have the elders come in and talk about their 40-year journey and how they've done this and they're on top of the mountain now and all of that. But to me, it's more impactful to have brothers like yourself who ain't at the finish line yet. Like you ain't nowhere near the finish line, right? You're in the beginning of the journey, but you're telling your story as it's basically you're narrating as you go. Yeah. And to me, that's such a power that you have that others can connect to, which then lights the candle of all these other brothers who are coming behind you.
Yeah, like that. My whole focus, my whole thought process was, like I said earlier, we're making a small doc to my movie, because that photo I took that you seen was in my new apartment. You know, it meant so much to me because I didn't have for so long. And when you don't have for so long, you don't realize how much you miss and how much you care and how much you appreciate. I mean, you go from having a 2-bed, 2-bath, almost downtown Richmond to sleeping in your car. That's one extreme to the next. And so to be back in my own space, a peace of mind, and to be able to breathe and think and be able to function how I want to function and move how I want to move and be in a better space mentally, it meant so much to me. And I said, but this is a journey that I want to share because there's someone out there that's afraid to jump. And it's so easy to hear my words, right? It's so easy for me to talk about this and potentially you get moved by it. But I'm a visual learner. That's another reason why Yard Talk came about. So I said, you know what? I want to show you the story. I want to show you when I say I got furniture in Richmond. I want you to see that. I want you to, when I say I have furniture, when I got clothes in Atlanta, that's a walk-in closet. I want you to see that. I don't want you just to hear it. I want you to really think like, nah, he lying. Like he just, nah, like
that's real.
This is how I was living, man. And I'm okay with it. Like it is what it is because it was a sacrifice I made. It was some time I was able to have. I lost, I didn't have the money to do, but I had a lot of time to make a lot of things shake. And now the money is on the way. And so I wanted to be, motivational. I wanted to give insights to my story. So we'll be wrapping that up soon. I'm waiting to get the rough draft so I can look at it, make the edits, and we put it out there because, somebody needs that. And that's how I personally feel. Like it's more so for, it's a new year. It's time for people to make dreams happen for themselves. But somebody's scared. Somebody's scared of what if I don't make it? What if this don't happen? That's always a thought. Well, what if you do make it? What if you do make it happen?
Dude, perspective. You just laid into perspective there. We tend to hedge our bet, right? We tend to hedge our decision making, meaning what if it doesn't work out? What if it doesn't work out? But the thing is, in that same conversation, we need to approach it from a balanced narrative in the sense of, yes, it might not, but what if everything lines up and this thing hits the way that it's supposed to? You know what I'm saying? Like if we give ourselves that balance from a thought process perspective, I think a lot more of us will take that step. You know what I'm saying? A lot more of us will start to look at it, not from the standpoint of what I'm losing or what I'm sacrificing, but what am I potentially gaining, or the sacrifice of not at least trying. See, that's, I'm 41. And so, married with 2 kids and all of that. And when I think about life is I do not want to have regrets, right? Even if something doesn't work, I would much rather say, you know what, dude, I tried it. You know what I'm saying? And the reality is it didn't work. When I was in middle school, me and one of my homeboys, Jahliel, used to have this concept when we were talking to girls and all of that. And it was funny. You'd meet a girl from, you meet a girl from the standpoint of like back in the day, you say like, man, I used to like you and this and that. Well, I'm like, well, why didn't you say something? And vice versa. She would say, well, why didn't you say something? And long story short, man, the whole concept was we'd rather find out if it's a definite no than a could have been yes. Yeah. Right. So long story short, fellas, pay attention to Jahliel's story. The brother's got a journey, a testimony, and be on the lookout for the documentary that he has coming out as well. So brother, literally, I can rap with you all day. And long story short, we got to end this thing pretty soon to get on with our day or whatnot. How can brothers connect with you? Ladies listening to, because again, everybody listens to it. How can folks connect with you? How can they learn more about Yard Talk 101? How can they check out HBCU 101 on Aspire? When does it happen? Just give all your tags, all your information, and we'll end this thing, brother.
First and foremost, dog, I want to say thank you, man, for the time and appreciate the opportunity to really rap with you, man, dive into the story and continue to push that message. To keep up with me is just simple. Jahliel Thurman on all digital platforms, JAHLIEL THURMAN. And then as far as HBCU 101 goes, it's HBCU 101 on all platforms and HBCU101.com. And we are 12:30 Eastern on Aspire TV. You can check out some of our old episodes on our website, and then we should be launching February 7th, season 3, Sunday, 12:30. We back. Can't tell you who's going to be the first guest, but just know it's someone you want to hear from. Really dope dude. So we got that coming up. Yard Talk 101. I didn't really dive in too much with the company, but keep up with us on yardtalk101.com, Yard Talk 101 on all platforms. I'm in a process right now of creating a virtual bus tour. That's going to be crazy. I got faith that I'm going to get all the sponsorships that I need. And when earlier we talked about, getting to HBCUs, your wife being from LA, she went to Tuskegee. She was fortunate. She was a small group of people that was fortunate to have that exposure. My goal is to create a way that eliminates the need for prospective college students to learn about HBCUs through digital or virtual platforms. So we have that deck created. We've been shopping it around different sponsors. So I know it's going to happen because I believe in it. So y'all be on the lookout for that. Yard Talk 101, we got some things up our sleeves, man. I've been talking Cigna about mental health. I've been talking to different people about financial literacy. I got some stuff, in the Cooking with the Sean Carter Foundation. Like, we got some things going. So y'all just be on the lookout for Yard Talk 101 for sure.
Absolutely, brother. And we will make sure to have all the tags in the show notes. Definitely follow Jahliel Thurman, Yard Talk 101, HBCU 101 on all platforms. Visit the websites. And if you have not heard about this brother already, make sure you let him know you heard about him on Black Fathers Now, because look, his story is amazing. He's an inspiration, and brother, salutes to you. You continue doing what you're doing, man. Like, the brother's doing great things, right? Like, that's like when the brother's doing great things, the brother's doing great things. So we, shout out to the brothers, but man, salute to you, man. Continue doing your thing, man. You're making an impact in the world, and you're helping the next generation see things through an authentic lens. So as always, make sure to visit blackfathersnow.com, subscribe via any place you listen to podcasts, leave a rating, share this bad boy so the algorithm kicks us up to the top. Social media, follow Black Fathers Now. And fellas, ladies listening too. Until next time, y'all be blessed, well, and wise. And I'll holler at you. Peace.
Peace.
Yo, fellas, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. And always, always, always visit blackfathersnow.com, as well as follow Black Fathers Now on virtually every social media platform you can think of. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, everywhere. Just follow us and engage with us, man. Look forward to hearing from you. And I guess until next time, I'll holler at you. Peace.